Hey everyone, this is Lisa from TRW, and in this video I'm going to be putting my Target dollar spot purchases to work. I have this $5 board and I applied this cute phrase using Siser Easyweed and glitter. Both of these are heat transfer vinyl and I am applying these with a home iron. So not only will I show you how to apply it, but I'm also going to show you how to make skinny fonts really stand out on a dark background. So here I am in Silhouette Studio. Now I have my design somewhat laid out as I'm here. I'm going to show you what I did so that way you can kind of see the process I went through. So the first thing I did is I took a picture of my sign. The sign has bars at the top and bottom, which make it kind of tricky to line up. So I wanted to put a picture in there to make sure my font fits in there well and it doesn't look weird. So I have that over here. And then I chose two different fonts. So if you look at this right here, I have another color in the background. I'm just selecting it all, deleting it. Because when I have this skinny font, it looks really cute and it would look nice with a flat color. But because I'm doing a glitter vinyl, sometimes when you do stuff that's thin, it's kind of hard to see. So we're gonna do something called an offset around there. So I'm gonna go ahead, zoom in on this. And we have our text right here. And I don't want my offset to be too big. We want it to complement our font, not to create basically a whole other layer. So I'm going to go over to my offset panel. We're going to choose offset, and then we're going to do a little distance. We're going to type over here 0.04, hit enter. And because we have this as an outline on something patterned, it's hard to see the line. So let me go ahead and set it up like this. So this is weird. I don't really know what happened with that, but you can see that it's still an outline on there. It just got nudged over. So I'm just selecting this and using my arrow keys to move that. I don't know, maybe I'll watch the replay to see what happened. I don't really know why that just happened, but I'm just going to leave it because you can see we have this little outline over there, and this is going to be able to direct our eye back to the font we have. When you have a glitter vinyl, it reflects a bunch of light, so when you put a flat color to the outside, it helps frame that glitter over there. Also, sorry if my voice is going out, I'm getting over a cold. Now right here we have Hey There, and this is actually in our TRW Flutter script, so I'm just going to nudge that down. Now one thing to remember when you're working with script fonts is that they have these overlapping lines. You don't want that because those notches will show up, so we're going to go over here and weld it. So now you can see those overlapping lines are gone, all set. Now every letter that wasn't touching or comma are their own separate object, and you can see that by a little box around there. So I'm going to right click, make compound path, and turn this into one big object. And just for continuity, we're going to go ahead and do it offset on this again. So we're going to select it, do 0.04, hit enter, apply. And now we're going to go over and just choose that color. So now you can see both have this little outline around there. So now we really just need to set this up to cut. I'm going to delete my sign in the background, and I'm going to group my like colors together. So over here in the top bar, we have select by color. I love using this. We're going to go over select by fill. I have this orange. We're going to right click, make compound path. So now that's one big object. Now let's do the same with this right here. You can see these are all separate. So we're going to, we're going to select it all. We have it all over here. I'm going to hit Control E on my keyboard, which is the same as make compound path. So now you can see these are together as one object. So let's go ahead, set this up. I'm just going to kind of somewhat nudge these over because it doesn't really matter. They're going to cut separately. So next thing I need to do is I need to grab my sign. Here is my sign right here, and I just need to measure out how wide I want my font to be. So the sign itself is about 16 inches wide. I can't cut any wider than 12 inches. So I'm going to cut this at 11.75 inches. That way I can cut it on one big piece of vinyl. Or actually, now that I'm saying it out loud, I'm going to turn it so I can cut it even longer. Because our HTV, our glitter HTV, is a foot wide, but it is 20 inches long. So we're going to go over, and so since that's 16 inches, I'm going to set up my design to be about 14 inches wide. So we're going to stretch this out to 14. Now you can type it in, but I don't know, I just felt like stretching it out. So now what we need to do to cut longer is we need to turn our workspace. So we're going to go over to page setup over here on the right. We have our width and our height. So we're going to change our height to 20 inches. So now you can see we have that longer height. So let's go ahead. I'm going to use my shift button, this green dot to rotate it. So we have Hey There Pumpkin. So just a couple more things we need to do. We need to right click. We need to flip horizontally. And we'll do that with the bottom one too. And we're doing this because we're cutting on heat transfer vinyl. So we don't want to cut it the right way, because if we cut it the way we see it, then it's going to cut in reverse because we cut on the back side of our vinyl. Now, one more thing to keep in mind, when we cut this long, we are not going to be cutting with a cutting mat. So we need to go over to our cutting mat over here on page setup and turn it off, because you can see this red line has extended. If we didn't do that before, then it would have cut off in the middle of our design, and we would not have wanted that. So just to make it easier for me to weed later, I'm going to draw a little box around each set of words. This way it helps me know where to pull up right away, and it helps you maximize the amount of vinyl you're saving. So we're going to go ahead and set that up, and then one more box around here. Let's go ahead and grab that, and I'm just going to nudge my whole design down just a little bit. You want your entire design to be within this red area right here. So we're going to go over it. We're going to go to our send panel, and I'm not even going to move these. I'm going to go over and I'm going to change this over to layer. So up here, simple line fill, we're going to go over to fill. So now you can choose by what color you want to cut. So we're always going to cut the no color, which is this box around there. So we're going to check that. And the first one that I'm going to cut is I'm going to cut this orange. I'm cutting that in Siser glitter vinyl. So we're going to go over here, choose my material. So I have my presets of glitter that I've already set up in there. Make sure you check out my other videos on how to preset your own cut your own materials. So we have that set up right there. So we have our orange checked and our no color checked. They're both set to glitter. So I'm going to load my material, cut, and then once I'm done, I'm going to change this right here to easy weed, and then select this one and do easy weed. So let me go over, I'm going to cut it, and then I'm going to show you how I switch it. All right, so my first one is done cutting, so we're just going to go ahead, uncheck this one, we're going to check this one, and now we want to make sure we're checking our material here, that it's cutting the correct material. So we're just going to go ahead, bring this down, and we are going to be cutting easy weed. Select this one, and again, we are cutting easy weed. All right, so we're going to set this up to cut, and I will see you when I am weeding my design. All right, so here is my easy weed that was cut. So we have that all set up. I'm going to use my little weeding ring. This is just like it's technically a nail polish holder, but I got it to use as a weeding ring, and I got it from Craft Chameleon. I really love it. So I'll get it at like whenever I see them at trade shows, or they have it on their website. So it's super cheap. It makes weeding so much easier. You can just go ahead and reach, grab it, and go. So it just goes right in here. Super simple. Alright, so this is the first part. So this is the bottom layer. So that's why it looks kind of weird and bubbly here. It's not meant to be perfectly seen. We're going to put our glitter on top of it. Alright, so here is my glitter. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull from a corner first and get all the excess out from around my design. You see we have this set like this. This is why you need to check your cut settings. You can see I'm not really having any real trouble peeling this up, only in like sharp corners or something like that. Alright, so don't forget, this is the vinyl that's on top. So this is definitely going to have these inside sections that we need to weed out. The cool thing is this glitter vinyl, I can basically just like pinch my vinyl and the cut lines show up, so I can just do that. I don't really have to worry too much about my weeding tool. Alright, so this is my top part here. Let me grab my offset so you can see what it'll look like together. So we have hay there, pumpkin. So you can even see, let me see if I can make this brightness a little bit lower. No, it doesn't really work super great. So you can even see when I have this just on my desk, you know, it's like almost a little bit hard to read. You have to really look, but this tiny little offset really frames it and it makes it a lot easier to read. So I'm going to go ahead, clean this up, and I'm going to get my board, and we are going to be applying this with a home iron. Alright, so I have my board right here. Now this is one of my Target Dollar Spot finds. This is one of those boards they have in the Bullseye's Playground Dollar Spot. I still like calling it Bullseye's Playground, but I still like calling it Dollar Spot. I know it's Bullseye's Playground. So one thing you'll notice is I am actually using a piece of parchment paper. Teflon works great for this. One reason that I like using parchment paper is, one, it can withstand the heat. A lot of people use parchment instead of Teflon, but I like it because I can really see through it, so I can have a better idea of where I'm pressing with my iron, how it looks, that sort of thing. So I forgot to turn on my iron, so I'm just waiting for it to warm up, and then we will be placing it on there. So here I have my iron right here. Now I always say use a heat press when you use heat transfer vinyl, and I still mean that, but the cool thing about heat transfer vinyl is that it reacts to heat, obviously, but Siser specifically reacts at around, I don't know, I think it's like 260, but it is made that it can be applied with an iron. Now that's for apparel, obviously, you know, you want to use a heat press if you can, but what helps us in this case is that I can use a home iron to apply heat transfer vinyl to things like wood, because all we really need is to get enough heat on this to get it to stay so I can do my next layer. So I'm just slowly peeling this up. So a little bit of this is lifting, so I'm going to go ahead and use my iron and really press down on this. I don't want to do too much because I don't want the Easy Weed to kind of look, I don't know, wrinkled and gross, but I wanted enough to kind of go into this wood and to lift off my carrier. So pretty good. Oops, right when I said pretty good. So I'm going to kind of smooth that back down, bring my carrier, so I'm going to put my iron aside. So you can see I just smoothed that back down. So now I know where to target. I really want to get that right there. Lift this up and then slowly continue on this way. Be careful when you're doing this. Be very mindful of where the iron is in your hand. I'm still holding mine in my other hand, but I'm holding it away from my body. So just be very careful. I prefer you put your iron down somewhere, but I don't really have anywhere to put it right now. All right, so we have this right here. So that is our first layer. So now we're going to put our glitter right on top. And, you know, again, part of the reason why I like using a home iron, or why it still works in this case, is that part of the reason why we recommend you using a heat press is that you want to make sure you get that even temperature and pressure, because when you don't have even temperature and pressure, that's how your vinyl comes up when you wash it. But I don't really think I'm going to be washing this sign. So using my home iron, and I am putting down a decent amount of pressure with my hand. I'm just going to be pressing this over here to get this down. Oops, I did shift this a little bit. It doesn't look too bad. So while I can, and the reason why I shifted it is I wasn't paying attention, I was on this little ridge. But hey, when all else fails, I say that's the beauty in having something handmade, is you have to have a little bit of an imperfection, right? I'm not a machine. All right, so we're gonna kind of go right there. Oh, and I think I forgot to mention, this is Siser glitter in copper. I think it's like Such a perfect pumpkin-y color for fall. It's one of my favorite colors that they have, and I don't even like orange. So I'm going to slowly peel this up. And I can see little sections are coming up when I do that, so I'm going to take my iron, go again. Oops, I saw this shift a little bit. So you can see right there, I'm going to turn this so I can see this end because it looks like I'm moving it. So I'm just going to gently lift this off of here. And this is the good and bad thing about not using a heat press, is that we're not having a whole ton of pressure. So that means I can kind of lift it off of there a little bit if I need to. But honestly, guys, oops, I didn't know I had the steam on here. This is why I don't like using a home iron for my clothes or anything, because look how my carrier is like waving from the heat in that. All right, so we have that set right there. Looks good. So I'm just going to go ahead, take my parchment paper and do another sweep with it. All right. So we have this all set. Oops, sorry. Cute little sign. Let me go ahead and switch my angle and hold it up for you. And there you have it, guys. This is my 2-color HTV wood sign. This is using a $5 sign from the Target Dollar Spot. This was from fall 2019, and I used Siser Easy Weed in white, and I used Siser Glitter in copper. Both of these were applied with a home iron, a really fun, easy project that you can do, and it's a great way to incorporate heat transfer vinyl on something besides apparel.